if you're confused about bar lines, you're not alone. What is a bar line? Where do you write them? And how do you write them? Are you confused? Well, sometimes students are confused too. But by the end of this short video today, there'll be no more confusion because Sola says we're learning a few rules today. And I've got a great Tito tip for you. So I'm Glory St. Germain from Ultimate Music Theory. And today we're talking about bar lines. If you're a music teacher, just share with me in the chat box. What's one of the challenges about learning bar lines? You know, you'd think it would be simple, but there's thin bar lines, there's thick bar lines, there's double bar lines, and there's different kinds of double bar lines. So let's check this out. One of the things that we're going to start with is what's a bar line? Well, interestingly enough, when we look at bar lines, sometimes a bar line can just be called a bar. And sometimes when we think about a bar line, we see that we can have two bar lines or we can have a thin and a thick. So what is a bar line? A bar line divides a measure, equal measures in our rhythm, of course. So the tricky thing is that sometimes a measure is referred to as a bar. So can you imagine putting a bar in the bar? That's confusing. Throughout the Ultimate Music Theory workbooks, we always use the words bar lines and the word measure so that it's not confusing. So you can put a bar line along your rhythm in order to divide it into equal measures. Does that make sense? Give me a little thumbs up. So a bar line divides equal measures. So now that we know what a bar line is, we can talk about where is our bar line. What does that mean? When we have a single bar line, it divides the music into equal measures. So that reveals it's a measure. Okay, we got that. We're good, right? The next one says we have a double bar line. What does a double bar line mean? If you've ever you've come across music and all of a sudden out of the blue, there's a double bar line. What does that mean exactly? Well, it can mean a couple things. First, it can mean that it's the end of a section. And it also can indicate that there's going to be a change in clef. There's going to be a change in time signature. There's going to be a change in key signature. But it means there's something up. So if you have a double bar line, you know, you can give me like 2 signs up there. You know that there's something coming. There's some change that's happening within the music itself. So that's the end of a section. Now, what is this guy at the end? A single bar line and then a thicker bar line indicate and often referred to as a double bar line as well. So they have different names. By the way, if you're confused about all the ways that you can name bar lines, simply enter in, share with me the word bar lines. And we're going to send you all the information that you need to know about the different names of bar lines, the way that you can refer to a bar line and what they all mean. So just go ahead and share with me bar lines and you're in. So finally, the very last one, the thin bar line followed by the thick bar line, that means it's the end of a piece. So now we've got it. We know what is a bar line. It divides the measure into equal units of rhythm. Where is a bar line? It indicates a measure, a section, and the end of a piece. So far, so good, right? Now, if you haven't already joined our Ultimate Music Theory Facebook group, I encourage you to do that. We've got some fantastic resources there for you, a wonderful community of musicians and like-minded teachers that are just hanging out for fun. So, hey, Sarah Campbell and Danica, they're like, bar lines, bar lines. You'd think it would be simple, but it doesn't matter if you're a vocalist or a musician. If you're reading music, you have to know what does that mean. And there's also, it goes a little deeper into what do you do if you want to have a repeat sign? That's a whole nother conversation about bar lines, double bar lines, single bar lines, thin or thick. So make sure you enter the word bar lines and let me know where you're watching from. It's pretty cool. I'm kind of looking down here so I can see all of you. It's pretty cool when you get to chat with people from all around the globe and really get to see who's all hanging out with us today. So thanks for that. And finally, how? Oh, the question of how. Remember, we have a little Tito quiz at the end. So I want to make sure that you're watching. I should have had a prize today. Maybe next time I'll get a prize. So for today, we'll check it out. So Sola says that we have a measure, we have a section, and we have a piece. So now we want to know, how do we write our bar lines? So a bar line is written from the top of the staff, line number 5, all the way down to line number 1. Now here's the tricky thing. If you have music that is written in the treble clef, just on a single staff, or on the bass clef, just on a single staff, the line goes from line number 5 down to line number 1. It doesn't go above or below. Now, when you have music that's written on the grand staff, and I will use my little ruler here. I'll do my best. This is my ruler. When you have music written on the grand staff, then the bar line goes through the measure from the top of line 5 in the treble staff all the way down to the bottom of line 1 in the bass clef. So if it's just written on a single staff, top to bottom, top to bottom. If it's written on the grand staff, we want to go all the way from the top to all the way to the bottom. Now I have a little quiz for you. Are you ready? I see some yes. It indicates change. It indicates change. Now, here's our little quiz. And then I have a little Tito tip for you. So let's get ready. Are you ready? The big reveal? Awesome. Okay, so here it is. Here's my quiz for the day. Excuse me, Sola. Okay, let's see if you got this. So when you're looking at the whiteboard here, we're talking about bar lines. So question is, for A, is it correct or incorrect? Just let me know in the chat box. For A, you can see the bar line goes from up here down below. Correct or incorrect? Just go ahead and share with me. What are your thoughts? We will see if you have the right answer. So for A, just give me a yes for correct or a no, little N. Yes or no, correct or incorrect? I see some answers coming in. Excellent. So when we're talking about A, the answer is incorrect. And the reason is because it's above the staff and it's also below the staff. So we want to make sure to keep our bar lines neat within the staff. And if it's from type. Next one, B. So is this correct or incorrect? When writing double bar lines, 2 thin bar lines, would this be considered correct or incorrect? So for B, just give me a yes, a little Y, yes, or no, incorrect. Would you write a double bar line like that? What do you think, Sola? What do you think? Oh, Sola says, no way, Jose, no way. Because when we think about it, if you're looking at music, can you imagine if music was just written haphazard with a bar line here and a bar line there, and it was above the staff and below the staff, and they were too far apart? It would be a disaster to read. So we want to make sure that we're writing our music just as we would when we're looking at it in our books so that it's easy to read. So the answer is no, incorrect. Too far apart, right? There's no specific distance about how exactly far, but this is clearly too far apart, right? When writing bar lines. So C, is this correct or incorrect? Give me a yes, correct, or no, not correct. Let me see what you guys are up to. No, too far apart. Yay, Danica's got the right answer. Good job. That's great. I'm glad you know these things, Danica. So when we look at C, is it correct or incorrect? Well, the answer is it's a little crooked, isn't it? So when we're writing our bar lines, we want to make sure that we're keeping them at that 90-degree angle. So it's just a straight bar line. There's no examiner is going to get out a ruler and measure exactly how straight or crooked is your bar line. But we do want to encourage our students to use a ruler and make sure that our bar lines are straight up and down because it gets messy. And finally, here's the big one for D. Is this correct or incorrect? So we're doing a double bar line. So it's a double fine bar line. Are we going to mark that one as correct? Give me a thumbs up, yes, or an incorrect? No. What do you think? When you're looking at the end of a piece of music, we always note that we have a double bar line at the end, but the thin bar line is first, and then the thick bar line is at the end of the music. So we want to make sure we're writing it correctly. Here you can see that clearly there's a thick bar line and then a thin bar line. Does that make sense? Yes? Okay. Yay, Raylan. All right. And you know, these things you might think, well, Glory, these are obvious. But when you look at your students' work, you'll notice that in fact, you're going to see a lot of these. Sometimes the bar lines are going above and below the staff. Sometimes the double bar lines are too far apart at the end of a section. Sometimes the bar lines are crooked, and sometimes they put the thick and then the thin. So how can we help our students? We want to make sure that we're consistent when we're teaching. And I did tell you that we have a couple of tips for you. Make sure that you enter the word bar lines, and we're going to send you all the information about what are all the different names for these bar lines. Is it a fine bar line? Is it a double bar line? Is it a bar line that's sometimes used when you're having a repeat sign? What are all the indications of that? So we got lots of great stuff coming your way. So just enter the word bar lines. Now that you've completed your test, I have a little Tito tip for you. So Tito is quite the master. He loves music theory and he loves the rules and he loves to give you some tips. So here's a big tip for you. Are you ready for this one today? Tito says yes. In the Ultimate Music Theory workbooks, when you are using your and writing bar lines, you have a special little tool that you can use, and that is, drum roll, that is inside the Ultimate Music Theory workbooks. You definitely want to use the Ultimate Music Theory ruler. Now, when you're using the Ultimate Music Theory ruler, not only can you use it for writing bar lines, but you can also use it when you're writing ledger lines. And that's a whole nother video post about how to write ledger lines and the correct distance above and below the staff. But today we're talking about bar lines. And when you want to write bar lines, the reason that Sheila McKibben-Uren, who is the co-author on the Ultimate Music Theory series with me. Hey, Sheila, I'll give a little shout out to Sheila. I'm sure she's watching out there as well today. And Sheila's actually written incredible blogs that we just love to share with you. And she's written one called Bar Lines, and it is a great blog, and I'm sure you're going to enjoy it. So make sure you write the word bar lines so you get your blog post. So now we've got our ruler. When you're adding your bar lines, you can see all the way through that you're going to line these up correctly, and it's a great way to reinforce using a ruler when writing bar lines rather than just writing freestyle. The other thing is that the ruler actually clips right inside the workbook. How cool is that? You know, my students used to say, oh, I can't find my ruler. I lost my ruler. I said, well, when Sheila and I created these rulers, we made sure, there's no excuses because they clip right inside your workbook. And they kind of work as a little bookmark too. So that's pretty cool, right? Now, if you'd like to learn more about Ultimate Music Theory and all of the things that we have to offer, we're also doing a special webinar. So you can go ahead and check out ultimatemusictheory.com /webinars. And there's lots of great information there for you. So ultimatemusictheory.com /webinars. And there's great information that I know you're going to love. So if you're a music teacher, make sure you get your Ultimate Music Theory ruler so you write straight bar lines. And don't forget to enter bar lines because you're going to get some fantastic information. So Danica says, oh, I love my Ultimate Music Theory ruler. I remember Danica using that as a student, and now, in fact, she's a teacher. So it's awesome. Thanks for joining me today. I want to give a quick shout out to Sue. Hey, Sue, and Jim, Raylene, Linda, Danica. It's great to see you guys here today. Thanks for hanging out with me. And of course, the fantastic Sarah Campbell. I'm always so happy to see her hanging out with me too. Have a great day, and may all your bar lines be straight. Single, double, or thick or thin. Have a great day. Thanks for joining me.